Hey everybody, welcome to DadsDen of Pop Culture, Mighty Thor Monday. We have gotten to issue number 352, February of 1985, cover date of the Mighty Thor. We're in the middle of this Surtur saga, this fight as Surtur and his demons finally attack Midgard, Earth. Surtur manages to get to Asgard. It's all coming down to this. This is not the final issue in this saga. That's coming next week. But let's take a look at this continuation. We have a great cover here. Beta Ray Bill, Vision, Hogan the Grim. There's Mr. Fantastic. So we got a whole bunch of heroes fighting these demons. Let's open her up. Real nice splash page. We have Surtur standing tall. There's Odin down there facing him down. Now, you're going to get a few places in here where it's hard not to think a little bit about Gandalf and the Balrog. I don't know if that was, something that Simonson was going for. I don't know if it was unconsciously done. I don't know if it's just a matter of they're both, Tolkien is drawing partly on Norse mythology for some of his inspiration. Sometimes there's sort of mythic symbols that are going to pop up all over the place, and it doesn't necessarily mean anybody is patterning something off of another. Anyhow, also notice his foot goes out of frame down there. It's kind of cool. Art and story, Walter Simonson. Letters, John Workman Jr. Colors, Christy Scheel. Editors, I keep changing words. Editing, Mark Grunwald. Editor-in-chief, Jim Shooter. Okay, Ragnarok and Ruin. Asgard, home of the fabled Norse gods, and before its gates stands Surtur, fiery ruler of the land of Muspelheim. Even as his hordes ravage the earth, Surtur confronts Odin, lord of Asgard, and the stars shiver in their eternal courses. Stand aside, Allfather. I have broken the Rainbow Bridge, crushed its guardian Heimdall, and defeated the mighty Thor. I have come for the eternal flame you stole from me in the beginning of time, and I will not be denied. Well, that sums it up pretty well for you of what is going on. Surtur wants that flame. He wants to light his sword, Twilight, with that flame, and he will use it to destroy all creation. Well, Odin is not going to stand for that. Well, he's going to stand, but he's not going to let him do it. He says, I knew you were coming, Surtur, when the last seat in the heroes' hall of Valhalla was filled, just as I know that you seek the destruction of all things. But the time is not ripe. The Norns, destiny's weavers, have not yet cut the thread of life. And he's basically, I don't care about the Norns. This is happening, old man. And so it goes to battle. And he unleashes the Odin force from the Scepter Supreme. Boom! Takes him right in the midsection. Knocks him down. Such is the power of the sons of Bor, great Surtur, the power I gained when you slew my brothers. Power enough to deny you the destruction you seek forever. And then we get Kratsum. Perhaps that was true once, little god. And that's what it's going to come down to, is that Surtur is more powerful than he would normally be. And he's more powerful because of that sword. And part of that is because the sword is drawing on the power of that eternal flame. And it's making him more powerful the closer he gets to it. So he's in a situation where he's gaining power. Odin is expending power. But you see him knocking it away, and then blam. And look at that little, right in the middle there. You can just make out Odin. That's a great shot. It just shows the enormity of the power of the sound. The force of the blow sends shockwaves rumbling throughout the 9 worlds. That's a biggie. And that is a great way to transition to what is happening elsewhere in the 9 worlds. And that is the great battle that's happening in Manhattan. Beta Ray Bill is leading Asgard's forces and the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. The demons have set up this basically kind of a portal up on top of this building, and they need to deal with it because it's porting more and more demons in. They can't fight them all off. They're becoming overwhelmed. So Bill has an idea. And what they've decided they're going to do a sort of a distractionary move, get some demons away from it. And then they're going to go in and they're actually going to try to take control of it. So they don't want to destroy it. They want to keep it functioning because Reed Richards might know how to make it work for them. And here we have Sif leading the Einherjar, heroes of Valhalla. Though we may never return again to the green fields of Asgard, let us show these demons that the warriors of the Golden Realm are deadlier than all the fiends of hell. And that's why this stuff was just so great. It's the epic scope of things. Look at that, and look at her leading that charge. Some great stuff with Sif in this one. And it's not just battle, because we have the leader of the Einherjar talking to her, and Thor is too generous, Hurricane, to stand between me and my desires. And so is Bill, perhaps. Oh no, so is Bill. Perhaps that is why I cannot, milady. Nothing, come. Let us show these creatures that they should never have left the land of fire. So they're still advancing the story of her relationship with Thor, her relationship with Bill, just basically also, what does Sif want out of life? What does she want? But right now they have a battle to fight. And so do these two, Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, and Roger Willis. They are heading over to England, as that dude in Austin Powers put it. They're going to try to go into that land of Faerie and retrieve the Casket of Ancient Winters, because Willis thinks he's got a way to stop this winter that is blanketing Midgard. So they land, Human Torch, obviously the right guy for the job, burning away into this, this underground realm that's sealed by ice. And so they get in there, and he starts putting the thing back together, literally with crazy glue. He thinks if we can put the thing back together and close the lid, maybe that will stop the winter. Hey, maybe it's a crazy idea, but what the heck else can you do? But in the midst of it, they hear noise above. Johnny Storm goes up and finds more demons. Now remember, one of the reasons he went along on this trip, they needed a pilot for the new, little ship that Reed Richards had invented. But also his flame powers, not very effective in fighting the flame demons. So now he's got to deal with a whole bunch of them on his own, and he's not the right guy for that job. Well, the plan goes more or less as they want. They've attacked. Now they're going to withdraw, and they're going to draw the demons away from the tower who are guarding it. And so, meanwhile, Bill is having the Enchantress and Hermod, who's kind of like the Norse version of Hermes or Mercury. They're to spread the word to their commanders. Here's Sif and her forces heading for, yes, the World Trade Center. The demons are pursuing them. And they basically use the World Trade Center to hide two separate forces. One of them is led by Tyr. There he is. And one of them is led by the Executioner. And they come in sort of a pincer movement, and they wipe out most of those demons. And that leaves the tower unguarded. So the others go in, and Reed Richards figures out how to turn it off. He presses a button. Hey, he's Reed Richards. I mean, you and me, we wouldn't necessarily know the right button to press, but he does. And so the hum goes down, and now the demons can't get to them. Okay, but, they've won this little battle, but these demons are all over the place. So they're going to question the demons. We got to figure out where they're exactly coming from, how this all works. All right. We flash back to the battle scene in Asgard. Great shot there of Odin. And there's Surtur's, giant leg. And he says, what he's figured out is that he cannot, if you remember the story he told of him and his brothers, Vili and Ve, going into Muspelheim, that they were able, the three of them, to form into this giant warrior and battle with Surtur. but he can't do it. The sword and the power it's drawing from the flame is preventing that. So he decides to do something as well. And he hurls this, magic power at Surtur, which again kind of knocks him for a loop. But what it does is it blocks him from absorbing the power of that eternal flame. So now he's a little bit weakened as well. So what does he do? Let the sword twilight cleave through time and space to Midgard, for there is to be found the power that will hold Odin in check until the deed that I must do is done. Come, ye hoary winters, cold as death, come ice, come hail, come sleet, come ye chill and frosty rhymes of white. Before the 9 worlds were before Odin was, then were the lands of fire and ice alone in being. From the beginnings of the world, I call the ancient breath of winter, brother of the fire, heed my call and come. So what he's done is he's opened up a portal to bring the winter into Asgard from Midgard. Now we get a short little sidetrack here, and that is Frigga and the children dealing with this troll who wants them to give him one of the children for his dinner. Hildy has a plan, and it involves vaulting over him, doing this rope thing. Okay, so she's got a whole thing going here of how they're going to deal with that troll. But we only see that for a moment, and we'll catch up with that more later. So they find out from the demon, it's all happening. The main portal is in the Sahara Desert. That's what you got to take out. So Beta Ray Bill, Avengers, Fantastic Four, the Einherjar, etc. are all going to go through the portal into the Sahara Desert. And on this page, they do. Let's get a little bit of there we go. And what is he saying there? Because there's a whole lot of demons there. So they come up out of this sort of platform. That's the thing they were using to send demons. But this back here, that's the main portal. That's the portal to Muspelheim itself. This is just, these little pads were how they were getting to other cities. So they pop out in the Sahara, and they pop into a whole lot of trouble. And so here we have now the fight between Odin and Surtur. And Surtur manages to channel basically the full force of the Casket of Ancient Winters. It says here, even you did not know that small box contained the fury of Niflheim, the first realm of ice, older than Odin, older than your father Bor, older than his father Buri, older even than I. I have released that ancient power on Midgard, and now called all its terrible anger to Asgard. And what happens to Odin? He is frozen into this sort of sphere of ice. You see it's kind of on these legs. Odin himself has now been captured, I guess you could say. So Heimdall was defeated. Thor was defeated. Odin has been defeated. The other Asgardians are on Midgard fighting. Who's left? Balder on his mission to the Norns, and Loki, who decided he was not going to participate. And so Surtur strides through Asgard and puts the sword into the eternal flame. And all of existence seems concentrated in the flame, the sword, and the demon. Next, Doom 2. Okay, so Surtur seems to have won. He has gotten what he wanted. He has plunged the sword into the flame, and now he's capable of destroying all in existence, and there just ain't nobody to stop him. This looks like a job for Superman. Okay, so Mighty Thor, number 352, February of 1985, continuing this great epic saga that they've been doing here with, really delving into the Norse myths. Now, obviously, the Norse myths, it's fun to say that phrase, Norse myths, as seen through the lens of Marvel Comics. You know, back when Kirby and Lee started this, they weren't necessarily super accurate to things. Well, for example, a blonde Thor instead of a redhead. But within those limitations, Simonson is exploring all this stuff even more and creating this massive story that, I've said this a few times, would have made a great movie, or maybe even sort of a trilogy of movies. Boy, did they blow that one. Let me know what you think in the comments of this one. I would love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, maybe subscribe, maybe share with a friend. That would be super groovy. But until next time, God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun out there. Read some Thor. And I will see you again soon, hopefully, in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye.